the top 25 albums of 2010. Yes, I want to go back to all the years in this decade that we're currently in, give some insight on my favourite albums, some albums that are already critically acclaimed but I also love, recommend some ones that may be unheard of by some people, and just kind of just run back and refresh our minds on some of the best albums of this decade. Typically I have top 50 albums for each year because there are so many albums that come out that 50 albums is the only amount that will suffice to kind of run down all the albums that I loved, and because there are so many that come out and so many that I hear and so much I listen to, that 50 just seems like the only number. However, 2010 I think was quite a weak year in this decade, to be honest, possibly the weakest, so I only really have 25 that I truly do think are excellent. Let me know what you think the weakest year of this decade is though. I think 2012 isn't far behind, but 2010 for me is the weakest. Gonna start with honourable mentions, with the first being Jake One and Freeway's The Stimulus Package. This is a great hip hop release that came out that was kind of under the radar. 2010 wasn't big for hip hop, to be honest, but this one I think was a really good one. I love Freeway's voice, he's so gruff with his vocals. He just commands a beat. You know him as soon as he's on it. It's a shame we don't hear much from him these days, but he does come on a feature every now and then. Also, Tame Impala's Inner Speaker, not Tame Impala's best, but actually quite a great psychedelic record to start off their discography. Certainly better than Currents, in my opinion. Never a big fan of that. And the last honourable mention being Little Women's Throat, the most spazzed out, insane fucking jazz album I think I've ever heard. And every now and then this is just such a wild friggin' ride that you've just got to put on and just sit and wonder how the hell they made this. Now the top 25, the top 25, the top 25. 25, Glasses Ring. This is a beautifully arranged art pop album that I do quite adore. It's such a serene listen. It's a beautifully made album. It's quite catchy at points too. If you're a fan of like Fever Ray or Tune Yards or Bjork, I guess is an obvious one, any kind of art pop singer that does incredibly layered and dense electronic music, then give this one a listen. 24, the absolute workout of an album from Girl Talk with All Day. This is a mashup album, one of the best I've ever heard in my life, and Neil Cicierega does some really intelligent and well insanely crafted mashup music that you've got to check out as well. But Girl Talk just goes full throttle, like it's just song with song. It never slows down. It's just like every friggin' song you've ever heard of on one album, just all packed in and sped up and just like dancey, and just it's great. 23, No's Death is Silent. Please go listen to No if you never have, and Cunning Linguists, which is the hip-hop group that he traditionally came from. And yeah, this is such an underrated hip-hop album from 2010, very overshadowed by one hip-hop album I'm going to mention later in this list, but you'll see what that is. But yeah, No is a very technically gifted rapper. Go check this out. 22, Gonjasufi's A Sufi and a Killer, a weird little eclectic electronically tinged album with strange vocals that are a bit hard to stomach, but it's pretty unique listen. Owen Powell's Heartland, quite an underrated guy because he came from Arcade Fire, but his solo material never quite took off. Some publications gave it positive reviews, but I always appreciate Owen Powell's music. Into the top 20 now with Titus Andronicus's The Monitor, the monolithic grand indie rock album from these guys. They went on to put out a pretty bad album later on, but this one is the magnum opus. Oh, 19's Nails, Unsilent Death. Like a 10, 11, 12-minute album that is just crazy. Oh my god, I love this. This is metalcore at its best. If every metalcore band sounded like this, and less like some of the radio-friendly crap like Of Mice and Men, then it'd be great, wouldn't it? 18, Caribou's Swim. Caribou, a great electronic musician. You've got to know this album. It's a great one from this decade. Odessa is such a great dance song. I play it every now and then in front of my friends and they just groove along to it and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. It's a great album. At 17 we have Twin Shadows' Forget, a wonderful sophisti synth pop album with luscious vocals. I do really like this one. If you're a fan of like Future Islands, then give this one a peep. It's a very good album. I love this one. 16, The Tallest Man on Earth with Wild Hunt. Perhaps the closest we've got to a modern day Bob Dylan, like modern day, I guess. Yeah, I think Shallow Grave is my favourite by him, but he's so consistent that every LP I think he's dropped pretty much has been pretty stellar. 15, Ariel Pink's Haunted Graffiti. Before Today. This is the album that I think solidified him as like a lo-fi genius that he's now known as, because everything before this was a bit too strange and a bit too lo-fi. Like there wasn't anything to take away from most of the music, but this one put him on the map, man. This one was just an absolutely wonderful album. Round and Round, one of the best songs of the decade in my opinion. Friggin' love that song. Yeah, this is a great pop album. Go check it out if you never have. He's got a good discography. Listen to Ariel Pink. Oh, you're all going to tell me that this one's too low on the list, but 14, Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Yes. It's not my album of the year. I know. It's probably your album of the year. I get it. For me, I do think it isn't as good as some of his previous albums from this one. It's the best of this decade, though, by far. I mean, it's on my list, so obviously I do love it. It's got some of his most gargantuous and grandiose hip-hop that he's ever done. I mean, tracks like Runaway go on for like 10 minutes and shows some of his most emotional work as well. Obviously, 808s and Heartbreak was his emotional album, but this one carried that on. He influenced an entire era of rappers and R&B singers. Just look at Bryson Tiller, Drake, Future, all show influence from this album. It's very good, you can't deny that. Just slightly overrated for me though. I do think there are like 3 tracks on this album that I never want to listen to when I'm playing the album. Although they do work in context with the album, it's just, I'm just not that bothered about tracks like Blame Game and Gorgeous. You know, they're not bad and I do like them when they're in context with the album, but they are slightly skippable for me, which is controversial, I know, but that's just how I feel about the album. Still very good, still, yeah, it's still great. 13, Mathew Diaz, Black City. An album that I never hear anyone talk about, but it's quite a well-made electronic album with some vocals that go over the top, and Mathew Diaz has a good voice as well. It's pretty good. I do think this is very underrated. I think you'd probably like it if you're an electronic fan, so go try it. 12, Kvelertak with their self-titled debut. Fucking insane. Just like that Nails album, this album is just full throttle, never slows down. Oh. 11, Deer Hunter's Halcyon Digest. Yes, I'm a hipster. Deer Hunter is on my list for very good reason. This is a great album. Again, it's not my favourite from Deer Hunter. The album prior to this one, I think, what's it called? Micro House? Why don't I remember the name? But the 2008 album is my favourite from Deer Hunter. But this one was kind of like the critics one, I guess. This one was the one that appealed most to the critics, and it carried on some great music from Deer Hunter. Again, they haven't really put out stuff in this decade that I've really liked except for this one, so I do cherish it. We're in the top 10 Top 10. I don't know what I'm doing. Top 10, yeah, whatever. Vampire Weekend's Contra. Yes, I'm still a hipster, and Vampire Weekend is on my list. I think the debut is slightly better than this, but this, my god, Giving Up the Gun, Cousins. What else is on this? Yeah, this. Oh, it's just. I just love the vocals. Ezra Koenig lays on all their songs. It's just always done in such a tasteful way. It makes your feelings liven up. Yeah, it's Vampire Weekend. I just have a soft spot for them, and this album is great. 9. Fortet's There Is Love in You. Oh my god, this is blissful. I just love this. Whenever this is on, either this is on vinyl, and whenever it's playing on vinyl, I'm just like, oh, it is just gorgeous. It is organic. The melodies stick in my head for days. Like, seriously, I just can't get them away. Once I listen to this album, that's it. It's stuck in my head for like the next couple of days. Seriously, one of the best electronic albums of the decade, and there's still one more on this list that I'm yet to get to, and that just shows how good this is. Friggin' hell. 8. Agalloch with Marrow is the Spirit. Yes, this is a wonderful black metal album. I don't think I've ever reviewed a metal album on this channel so far, because it's so hard to talk about. Like, I am not experienced in metal music at all. Black metal is probably my favourite metal genre, and this is one of my favourite black metal albums I've ever heard. I'm not that, like, experienced in the genre, so I'm sure you're probably going to say, oh, but this is better black metal. I love this one. 7, the true hip-hop album of the year in 2010. Das Racist with Sit Down Man. Mate, this is so good. This is like the clever Hellfire Club rap before all of that came out, and the mellow music stuff that got big. So this is like that clever stuff before then. So this is like your Open Mike Eagles, your Bus Drivers, your Milos, your Quelle Chris. I know they've had a career for a long time, and some of those guys have had albums before 2010. So Das Racist wasn't like the first, but of course they didn't all get big till like 2012, 2013, 2014. So this was like the one, I think, that kind of kicked it all off. Such nerdy lines on this one, so clever as well. They all just layer down their bars in such a cool way. Like, they're just kind of like laid back and just don't give a care in the world, but they are just so good. This was my hip-hop album of the year in 2010. You've got to go listen to it if you never have. Please do. 6, electronic album of the year. Flying Lotus, Cosmogramma. Yes, of course this is on the list. This is his best album by far. I mean, not by far, but like, this is like a 10 out of 10, and the rest of his albums have been like 9 out of 10s, if you will, or in my grading system, like A star, and the rest have been A's. Yeah, this, I don't feel like I need to explain this one. If you've heard it, you know why. 5, Gorillaz, Plastic Beach. Yes, Gorillaz. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Gorillaz. Every album apart from their latest, Humans, have been favourites of mine. This one is no exception. A really clever concept as well when you delve into it. It took me a while to realise, but when you delve in, you'll kind of be like, oh wow, that's really clever. Some excellent features from like Lou Reed on this one, and Little Dragon. Yeah, it's a great Gorillaz album. Of course, they are all great except for Humans, but let's not talk about that. 4, Janelle Monáe, the ArchAndroid, I mean. Yes, one of the best R&B albums of this decade, better than Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. I said it, yes, I said it, I love Channel Orange, but this is like another world. This really is another world. And yeah, seriously, some incredibly catchy R&B tracks on this one, some incredibly just sultry and syrupy R&B tracks, some like alien sounding ones that just sound like futuristic. Honestly, it's Janelle Monáe. She's a great musician. I want to hear another album from her, hopefully soon. please just listen to this if you never have. It's one of the best of the decade, one of the best R&B albums I think I've ever heard. It's amazing. Number 3, Beach House with Teen Dream. Yes, I love me some dream pop. This was the best they ever did. I do like Devotion as well, but Teen Dream was just the epitome of it all. It just encapsulated everything they'd done up until that point in the most perfect way, with tracks like Zebra. Oh, Zebra. Oof. Incredible. Honestly incredible. Number 2, Arcade Fire's The Suburbs. Yeah, you know, this was very close to being number 1. I feel like this is kind of like a tie this year, honestly, for these albums. For number 2 and number 1, I mean. But The Suburbs is just an incredible indie rock album. I do think Funeral is my favourite by Arcade Fire, but they were able to put down some of the best indie rock songs ever made with like The Sprawl Part 2. Oh, incredible. The title track, The Suburbs, honestly, it is just a great album that really makes you think of summer and really gives you that feel for being like in a suburban area. I don't know how they did that with this album, but they did. It's a perfect summer album. Yeah, you all probably already know this album anyway, but still, it's excellent. And the album of the year for me in 2010 was LCD Sound System's This Is Happening. Yes, LCD Sound System, one of the best bands I think ever, to be honest. The latest album did disappoint me, but everything up until This Is Happening was just incredible to me. I think that This Is Happening was the perfect closing album to their career and was a wonderful final curtain. Had some of their best songs on here, like Dance Yourself Clean, I Can Change. Just did everything they did up until that point. Sorry, that's my hand. And they did everything up until that point very well, and they really didn't do that much too different on this one, but it's one of those where you don't change what's already great, so why, you know, you don't need to change it. It's not broke, don't fix it, that kind of vibe, mentality type thing. And yeah, I mean, this is just some of the best dance rock, dance punk music ever. I mean, the Talking Heads comparison, of course, has always been there, but they did a really good modern way of doing that sound very well and did it justice. Yeah, I love this album. I think This Is Happening is a great pop dance album that you, again, need to hear if you never have. And that's it. That's my albums of the year in 2010. Let me know what yours were in the comments. I've got a bit of a sore throat now after talking so much. Oh man, not good. But if you agree with my list, or you think that I missed out some obvious ones or some not so obvious ones that you think are worth mentioning and recommending that I might not have heard, then do it. Tell me your list. Yeah, if it's similar to mine, also post it. Tell me your favourite songs as well. Favourite songs of the year. I could do a list of that. I'm not sure if I will, but who's to say I won't? And yeah, let me know. And have a good day. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Goodbye.